In the final chapter of Luke's Gospel, we read that very early in the morning after the Sabbath, the women discover that the tomb in which Jesus' body had been laid has been opened, and two men in shining garments come up to them and tell them not to be afraid, since Jesus is risen. They say, "Why do you look for the living among the dead?" And they remind the women that Jesus had told them that all of this would happen ahead of time. The women return to the 11 disciples to tell them the news, but they don't believe them. Peter, however, got up and ran to the tomb. Bending over, he saw the strips of linen lying by themselves, and he went away, wondering to himself what had happened. Luke states that while a disciple named Cleopas was walking towards Emmaus with another disciple, they met Jesus. They did not recognize him and discussed their sadness at recent events with him. Not recognizing Jesus, their question of, "Are you the only one who does not know about what recently happened in Jerusalem?" is ironic, since Jesus knows better than anyone else what had recently happened in Jerusalem. He said to them, "How foolish you are, and how slow to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Did not the Messiah have to suffer these things and then enter his glory?" And beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself. They persuaded him to come and eat with them, and in the course of the meal, when Jesus took the bread and broke it, they recognized him. But when they did, he disappeared. They immediately get up and go back to Jerusalem to tell the news to the 11 disciples, and when they get there, the 11 tell them that they have already heard the news because Jesus has already appeared to Simon Peter. While they are talking, Jesus suddenly appears in the room with them, saying, "Peace be with you." Everybody jumps, thinking they just saw a ghost. But Jesus tells them to not be disturbed or doubtful, and he says to look at his hands and his feet, and to touch him and see that he truly is flesh and bone and not a ghost. The disciples still can't believe their eyes, so Jesus asks for something to eat, and they give him a piece of broiled fish, and he eats it. Then he opened their minds so that they could understand the scriptures, and he told them, "This is what is written, the Messiah will suffer and rise from the dead on the third day, and repentance for the forgiveness of sins will be preached in his name to all nations, beginning at Jerusalem. You are witnesses of these things. I am going to send you what my Father has promised, but stay in the city until you have been clothed with power from on high." Luke ends his gospel by saying that when he had led them out to the vicinity of Bethany, he lifted up his hands and blessed them. While he was blessing them, he left them and was taken up into heaven. Then they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy, and they stayed continually at the temple, praising God.